Hey guys, what's going on? This is Travis P11. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. Well guys, today we're going to do a cleaning of the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 9mm pistol. Now this is just a Shield 1.0. It's not the new version. I don't know if there's a lot of mechanical difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0, so this video should work for you for the 2.0 model, but you'll definitely find out quick if there's any differences once you take off the slide. Again, I know there's a lot of cleaning videos already out there for this, and I'm a little bit late to the game doing a cleaning video for this pistol, but these are really starting to show up at a low price on the market now, and so there's a lot of people picking them up, and maybe it's your first Shield, and if you're a fan of the channel and you like the style of cleaning videos that I do, this video will be very helpful for you. So let's go ahead and talk about exactly what you need or what the minimum would be in order to clean up this pistol. Doesn't take a whole lot. Now you can use a traditional cleaning rod with some patches and a bore brush and so on. I tend to use just a 9mm bore snake. I find it to be just quicker, a little bit easier. I use less resources if I clean with the bore snake. Some cotton patches, but you can use a cut up cotton t-shirt if you want to. Some cotton swabs, Q-tips, all right, to get in there for some of that fine detail work. A soft brush. Now this is a Hoppe's cleaning brush, but you can also use an old toothbrush if you want to. Again, like I said, cleaning rod, any style will work for you. Let's see, for cleaners, again, when it comes to cleaning, lubricating products, everybody has their favorites. Some guys like Ballistol. Other people are big fans of Rem Oil. Okay, me, I just use the Safariland Break-Free CLP. I've been using it for years. It leaves a nice protective coating on the firearms, and I'll have firearms that'll sit in my safe for up to a year and have no rust on them when I take them out of the safe. Now, granted, I've got some silica gel packets in there to maintain humidity and so on. Oh, and before we get started, always got to have a nice hot steamy cup of Black Rifle Coffee Company. Today we're running the Just Black blend. Hold on a second. They're so good. It makes these cleaning videos so much easier for me. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, so the first thing I did was just go ahead and put a little bit of CLP on some of the patches. Just put those off to the side. Go ahead and detach your magazine. Double, triple check, make sure that the firearm is in fact unloaded. There's nothing in the chamber. You can run the slide a couple times if you want to ensure of that. Okay, go ahead and set the pistol off to the side. The magazines, you know, they don't require a lot of maintenance. You can disassemble them and clean them. I'm not going to be doing that in this video, but I just like to use a patch with some CLP and just kind of clean off the guides. If you have excess oil on these, any part of the slide, you probably want to wipe that off. The last thing you want to do is get gun lubricant on your ammunition once you reload the magazines. I've heard that it can cause problems with the primers. I've never had a problem before, but it's always a good best practice to do so. If you use Rem Oil, you might notice that it doesn't leave as thick of a coat on the products that you're cleaning, the items that you're cleaning, as say the CLP. Rem Oil works just as good, in my opinion. I've used it for quite a while, but I like the CLP because it leaves a slightly thicker coat. And I find that the next time I clean the gun after taking it to the range, once it's been treated with CLP and cleaned, it really is a much faster cleanup. So we did range test this pistol yesterday. We had a good time with it. I owned one back in the day. What happened was there was a recall on the trigger. Kind of spooked me out a little bit, so I went ahead and sold it and bought a Beretta. Not that those are absolutely perfect, but they're good guns. But this does belong to my stepfather, and he loaned it to me to take to the range and test out. And the range test should be posted on the channel by the time you see this cleaning video. Alright, so what you want to do to disassemble is go ahead and pull back the slide. Use your slide stop button to push up on it to lock it into place. Okay guys, so we're going to bust out the headlight for this one just so you guys can see down into the chamber. So there's a little yellow bar. When you look down into your firearm, you'll notice it down there. It's a sear, it's a little lever. What you want to do is just take a screwdriver or a toothpick or maybe even a cotton swab and just go ahead and flick that little bar down. Okay, you want to make sure that that bar is in fact down. You can see how it pops out. Let's get a little closer for you here. Again, you can pull it up. Okay, or you can go ahead and just flick it down. You want to make sure that that bar is down before you disassemble the firearm. Okay, if you're not comfortable putting your finger down there, just use your little screwdriver, and you can see I've got that second bar right there. So that's something that is kind of common on other Shield pistols, and it's something that you want to make sure that you do. Okay, now for the next part, this could be a little tight. What you want to do is push down on the takedown lever right here. If it's a brand new pistol, it might take a little bit of force to get it to turn, but sometimes they can be a little bit tight, so just make sure that you got that at 90 degrees more or less. Okay, and then what I like to do is grab the pistol with my right hand, and then you don't want to push down the takedown lever. In fact, it's almost impossible to do it the way that it's set up right now, but you might accidentally hit that and it's going to cause the slide to fly off. So what you want to do is just grip the back of the pistol, pull back, and just release. Okay, and there you go. slide your slide for it. It comes right off the frame. The nice thing about this pistol is that it does not have a captive guide rod spring combo, so you can just simply pop it out. It's very similar to the design on many other pistols. Looks real similar to what you see on the Taurus PT-111 G2. If you're an owner of one of those, you'll know what I'm talking about. Very similar design. Wouldn't say they're interchangeable, but it's not necessarily a foreign part. So just go ahead and wipe off that guide rod spring with your patch. It's got some CLP on it. Remember, you don't want stuff soaked in oil. You just want a thin light coating, and if you want, you can even go over it with a dry patch. Maybe hit it with a little thin coat or M oil when you're done. That's up to you. You know, everybody kind of has their own way that they like to clean their firearms, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, now to get your barrel out, you just simply pull up on the lug. Barrel comes right out. Go ahead and wipe off the outside of the barrel again. Whoops, man, got some butterfingers going on this morning. Let's go ahead and wipe it off. You might notice a little bit of a buildup around the back part of the barrel. Okay, you can scrub that down with a brush if you want to with some CLP on it. Go ahead and wipe off the feed ramps right here. Again, very, very simple. These little notches up here tend to get a lot of spent powder built up in them also. By the way, I apologize. I'm going to be doing quite a bit of manual focusing. Whenever you clean all black guns with a white background, it can cause stuff to get out of focus. So I do apologize in advance for that. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is just go ahead and shoot a little bit of CLP down the barrel. I like to call this marinating the barrel. It's going to let that stuff soak in for a minute while we work on the slide. Just let that go, and then we'll go ahead and clean this up. Now again, at this point, you could use your cleaning rod and go down the barrel if you want to. I'm just going to use the bore snake just to show you how simple it is. You can take a Q-tip to any part of this if you want to do a little bit of scrubbing. Like, let's just say you got kind of a buildup back here. You can just kind of go through here and scrub these little edges if you want to, and you'll notice that you take off quite a bit of burnt powder. Now again, I'm probably a bit OCD about keeping clean guns. There's a lot of guys that fire their guns for thousands of rounds and don't ever clean them, and that's fine too. You know, you just do whatever works best for you, right? You do you. All right, now we'll go ahead and take another patch that's got some CLP on it, right, like I said before, and just start wiping out the inside of the slide. You want to get it towards the back where the firing pin comes out. This part's going to be especially dirty, and again, you can scrub it with the brush with a little bit of CLP on there if you want to. That's up to you. You know, your amount of cleanliness is going to depend on how dirty the gun is. Just go over and wipe over every possible surface area under that slide with your patches. You start to wipe off the outside if you want to also. One thing I like to do, again, take another cotton swab or Q-tip. All right, just go ahead and put a little bit of CLP on that. And just go ahead and run it down any of the channels that your patch won't go down, and you're gonna be surprised with how much gunk that's gonna pull out of there. Don't worry, you're not gonna mess with anything, you're not gonna break anything. I'll sometimes take the patch and just go down here behind the striker and just kind of give it a quick little scrub out. You know, you can hit that with the dry patch if you want to. You don't want a lot of oil in the area where the striker and the spring are, just because that can cause some fouling and problems down the road. It can start to get built up with gunk in it. Again, any of this stuff you can go over with the brush if you want to. Another thing I like to do is to take that another cotton swab here, some CLP on it, and then just go ahead and run that down the channel on the sides where your slide runs, okay, where your tracks are and so on. More or less the guides for your slide. And that's going to pull a lot of stuff out there too. Also, get down here in this front area where your guide rod goes into place. Just go ahead and wipe that out too. Give that a nice little wipe out. Now again, you can go over this with a dry patch if you want to, okay? I'm gonna do that and then just hit it with another light coat of oil just to get off any final residue that's inside the slide. Again, you don't want it overly lubricated. You don't necessarily want to run it dry. Really, you only need lubricant or oil on the moving parts. So we're just gonna go ahead and wipe that out with the dry patch here for a second. Okay, now we'll go ahead and put a little bit of CLP on a patch. The areas that I like to keep lubricant on are just on the inside of the slide where the barrel is going to come in contact with the slide. Okay. There you go, just kind of wipe that out a little bit. Again, you don't want to over lubricate it. That's the important thing here. And also, as that CLP sits on the slide, and as you continue to scrub it more, you're going to keep pulling more and more of that burnt powder off there. And then, again, take one more cotton swab and just go ahead and put a very light coat of oil in these tracks. Now, again, like I said, everybody kind of has their own method that they like to follow for cleaning their guns, and that is perfectly fine. So whatever works best for you. The key here is to not use too much lubricant, okay? All right, so the slide is basically done except for the outside. We'll go ahead and set that off to the side. All right, let's go ahead and work on the frame. Okay, a little bit of CLP here on a patch. And again, we're just going to go ahead and wipe everything out. Again, you can use brushes if you want to, if you see a lot of buildup on these parts and stuff's just not coming off no matter how much you scrub. Definitely want to get the tracks where the slide is going to ride. That's the important part. Give that a nice little scrub. You're going to get a lot of spent powder up towards the front where the barrel comes out. Wipe off the little bars and everything. Now, one thing I sometimes do with the lower frame is just spray the whole thing with Rem oil and just wipe it out. You know, you have that as an option too. It's pretty much whatever you like to do best. Also, it's going to seem a little crazy, but do go ahead and put a little CLP on a patch and wipe out your magazine well, because you can start to get a lot of lint that builds up in there, dirt, depending on how much use your firearm sees outside, or just depending on how much use it sees in general, right? There we go. Again, give everything a nice scrub. Now just go ahead and take yourself a dry patch and just go ahead and wipe off any excess residue. Make sure you get that extractor. That can start to get a buildup of powder on it too. Anything that comes in contact with the ammo while it's being ejected, okay, it's going to be dirty. All right, now go ahead and take a little bit of CLP on a cotton swab and just go ahead and lightly oil the tracks where your slide is going to run. You can see the wear on the top where the finish is starting to wear off of the metal. Anything that's starting to expose bare metal, that's going to be parts that are friction points. Those are going to be points that you want to make sure that you have lubricated, okay? Okay guys, now that we've let that barrel sit for a little while, okay, let's go ahead and just run the bore snake through it. I like to run it through dry the first time just because there's already lubricant in the barrel. So we're going to go ahead and just pull it through once. Again, this is for a 9mm 380. This is just a Hoppe's bore snake, 357, 38 special. They run about $8 or $9. They work pretty good for the most part. And then the second time we go through, again, if you happen to use the old patch system and stuff with a cleaning rod, you know, you can just keep running patches through it until the gun is clean. I put a little bit of CLP in front and a little bit in back of the bristle brushes that you have here built into the bore snake. And that's going to leave a thin protective coating that's going to protect the barrel, okay, as long as it needs to. So we'll go ahead and run that through. You can go through 1 or 2 more times if you want to. It really doesn't matter. But again, I love the bore snakes. They work really good. I still like to do a nice traditional bristle brush cleaning with a brass brush through my barrels at least once a year, just in case there's any oxidation that happens to build up in them. But for the most part, man, these bore snakes, and if you check out of season places like Walmart, they mark these down at the end of the hunting season as you go into the spring, and it does a great job. All right, so let's go ahead and check down the barrel and see how it looks. It's looking nice and clean right now. There we go. See that rifling in there? It's nice and shiny. All right, let's go ahead and we will continue. Okay, so for the reassembly, just go ahead and make sure you've got a thin coat of oil on the outside of the barrel. Real light, nothing too crazy. All right, make sure everything's wiped off. Go ahead and just put your barrel back in the slide like this. Okay. You want to make sure that you've got the little black cap of your guide rod spring combo towards the front, and this little kind of T-piece towards the rear. Just go ahead and put that in there. And it's going to lock into place. It's very important that you have the guide rod spring combo flat in the slide. If you see this pointing up or pointing down, you need to pop it back out and make sure it's completely flat. There's a little ridge that's going to sit in behind the barrel there. Okay, make sure it's there so you can see it. Got that all taken care of. All right, again, I've got that little yellow sear that we talked about before flicked out. Make sure you have it out. We'll have to push it down before we put the magazine back in the gun. Okay, we'll go ahead and put your slide back on real quick. Now all you got to do is just pull back on the slide a little bit. Okay, we'll go ahead and lock it back again with the, there we go. Okay, with the slide stop slide lever. Go ahead and flick your takedown lever back up. It's going to snap back into place. Make sure you've got that little bar pointed back down, that little yellow bar we were talking about. Let's go ahead and show you that again. It's kind of like a little zigzag piece right here. Okay, you can go ahead and just push that, pull that back up. There you go, it's going to flick back up into place. Otherwise, when you try to put a magazine in, it's not going to go, okay? Go ahead and slowly grasp the slide and let go. You can go ahead and run it a couple times. Okay, you can dry fire it. Check the reset. Okay. Go and give it a little wipe down on the outside. I tend to put a lot of CLP on the guns the first day I get them, and I let them sit out overnight, and then I just wipe off the excess with a dry patch. I find that really does a good job with soaking in and giving a good protective layer. So when you go to the range, or if you have several range trips, you're not going to have to worry about, you know, any kind of corrosion or rust popping up on your gun. Of course, it kind of depends on where you live. The gold paint on this, by the way, that's not factory. That's something that my stepdad does to a lot of his pistols. He just goes ahead and fills it in. I'm not sure exactly. There's YouTube videos out there that show you how to do that. But again, it does work. Go ahead and take a magazine, empty, of course, and make sure that the slide's going to lock back. Okay, it's good to go. You can go and press down on that slide release lever, slide stop. Make sure that works, dry fire. And she is good to go. So again, guys, the amount of scrubbing and cleaning that you have to do really does depend on how dirty the gun is, obviously how many rounds you put through it. But again, hopefully we just kind of gave you the basics, so you have, you know, just kind of a simple walkthrough on what you need to do if you want to clean up this pistol. It's very simple, very easy to maintain, cleans up nicely. And that's pretty much it. So guys, if you like what you see, please like or subscribe. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, gunchannels.com, guntube.org, what else? Gunstreamer, UGEtube, pretty much all over the place, guys. All that information is going to be in the description box below this video. Otherwise, guys, I think we're pretty much set. So if you like what you see, please like or subscribe. And I want you to have fun, guys. I want you to be safe. Take care of your firearms. And as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye-bye.